I love keys. In fact, I wish I was at church and could use the key to the church door. It's massive and impressive. It does a very simple job, but it looks great. Well, we're looking at the letter to Philemon tonight, and it often makes me think of keys because it's about unlocking new relationships. Much of the gospel is actually what Christ does through his spirit, unlocking new futures. Where we see dead ends, well, Christ transforms them into laybys, and then we continue in a new direction. Where we see full stops, Christ makes them into commas or semicolons or colons. I don't really know what they are, but he definitely changes full stops into commas. We don't know all of the details of what had gone on with Onesimus. He was a slave of Philemon, and whether he'd been sent away by Philemon and had stayed away longer than he should have done, or whether he'd run away taking money and stuff with him, we're not quite sure. But whatever has happened, there's a strained relationship between Philemon and Onesimus. And Paul is intervening and sending Onesimus back to Philemon and saying, Philemon, yes, he's your slave, but see beneath him as an object. See him as much more than just a tool. See him as your brother. That is what he is to me, and I want you to receive him in that vein. The letter's about hospitality. Paul says to Philemon, prepare me a guest room, but he's also saying, as he arrives, prepare room in your heart to receive back Onesimus, not underneath you, but alongside you. And he makes a play on Onesimus's name. It means useful. And he says, look, this person, and it is a person, may have been useless to you, but now they are useful. And there's something there about true identity. Names are so important in the scriptures, as we've seen. And here is Paul saying to Philemon, embrace this person's true identity. No longer a slave, no longer an object, no longer useless, but your brother alongside you, useful, a blessing to you. It's a deeply moving letter. It's a deeply powerful dynamic. And it's a deep call to us, actually, to work out in our lives, where do we need to be allowing the Spirit of Christ to turn keys, perhaps into areas of our lives where we've firmly closed and bolted and locked doors because we don't want anyone to go there. Well, the Spirit of Christ, ever so gently and only at our invitation, comes to unlock those parts of our lives so that the Spirit of God can do his work, so that we might be reconciled to God, to ourselves, and to other people. It's a call to Christians to be at the forefront of unlocking all that divides us from other people, to be the people who go across boundaries in the name of Christ, to reach out and to unlock new possibilities and new futures. It's very countercultural, just as it was in Paul's day, but it's what we're called to do. It's what the Spirit of God has been doing for centuries. It's what the Spirit of God is doing all of the time. The question is, will we join in with what the Spirit of God is doing, that reconciling Spirit of God, and allow ourselves to be drawn deep into that work, to become involved in it ourselves, and to exercise a ministry of reconciliation? It's about changing closed fists into open hands and reaching out to other people, listening, saying sorry when we need to, and embracing one another. Socially distanced, of course, but embracing one another, recognizing each other as human, as made in the image of God, bearers of the image of God. Letter to Philemon, then. It's only, 25 verses long, but there's deep, deep stuff going on in there.